Welcome to Walking with Spirit with Dr. Ruth Anderson on the International Angels Network and Enlightened World Network. I'm your host, Ruth Anderson, and I'm coming to you live from Colorado. Here at International Angels Network, we explore spirituality, angels, spirit guides, our loved ones on the other side, and much more. And I encourage you to go to internationalangelsnetwork.com and see some of the fascinating programming that Claudia Ibarra has put in place for light workers. Our radio podcasts are available to you on Pocket Casts, Pinterest, Player FM, Podchaser, and now Overcast Radio. Listen to us on Alexa and Echo Amazon devices or download the TuneIn app. These are all easy sites to use and make it simple to listen to our archived shows. Tonight, I am so excited to bring you week one of the mini session. That's wrong. Let me say that again. Tonight, I'm excited to bring you the last week 5, of our mini series for Reiki. And this episode of International Angels Network is sponsored by Holistic Light Rejuvenation Center. For more information, visit holisticrejuvenate.com. Sunday Sturgeon is the founder and CEO of Holistic Light Rejuvenation Center and is a host on our network. We're pleased to announce that International Angels Network is now also sponsored by Audible by Amazon. If you go to www.audibletrial.com/International Angels Network, you can get a free audiobook. So please check that out today. I would like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to listen in. This show is called Walking with Spirit. Walking with Spirit means consciously living in the physical realm with frequent connection to the divinity in the spirit realm and being open to all that they want me to experience. Every day I check in with my guides, Divine Mother and God, sometimes seeking guidance, sometimes seeking connection, and sometimes seeking their healing abilities. Many days I receive lessons by hearing, seeing, or feeling signs coming in from the energetic realm. I never know what my day is going to look like or what the next learning might be. I'm an author and a spiritual counselor, providing individualized transformational experiences for my clients using Holy Fire Reiki, energy work, and connection with the spiritual divinity, including Divine Mother, Archangels Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. Each week, I share a story about an experience I had while walking with Spirit. I've been working closely with Archangel Michael over the past few months. Together, we've created an enterprise called Enlightened World. Enlightened World will create a network, a platform, and a voice for light workers across the globe to unite in a variety of means in order to ultimately have a much larger reach and impact. The ultimate goal is to increase vibrational frequencies of one, of many, and as a united front across the globe. I've been shown conferences in Los Angeles, New York, and Tokyo, bringing in trailblazers in the spiritual world, public spiritual figures, and light workers with the intent of mobilizing and connecting, educating and focusing on positivity and higher vibrational energies. One of the long-term visions is to create a website where light workers across the globe can have a voice and a platform in order to connect with more people. On our site, light workers will be able to share articles, advertise their services and products, mobilize for meditation or prayer circles, purchase and create online radio or video programming on Enlightened World Network, have a YouTube presence as Enlightened World Unites, enjoy connections over Facebook on Enlightened World Unites, and seek low-cost and easy-to-access assistance for creating their own websites, publish books, create educational or motivational courses, etc. Stay tuned as the website progresses. I have had the immense pleasure to be introduced by Spirit to a team of people that I call the Inner Circle of Enlightened World. They come from a variety of backgrounds, but each of them has a connection to Spirit and are answering the call to support me or Enlightened World and its mission. The Facebook and YouTube sites will be going up this month, and as the Inner Circle is coming to us from different countries, it will be global in no time. November 1, in just a couple of weeks, will be a big day. That's the day that Enlightened World is launching the website and online video recording network. Stay tuned as we share out more information as we get closer to the launch date. This endeavor is much larger than I, and Spirit is lining up people to be invited in. While the groundwork is being laid for the Facebook page, website, online TV network, and conferences, I am focusing on walking with Spirit to make sure all is in alignment with the desires of God, the archangels, and angels. If you are called in any way to see where you might fit into all of this, please feel free to reach back out to me. Every morning, I sit in meditation with God and then the archangels. Every morning, I walk away with a honey-do list of 5 to 10 items. Believe me, I'm not thinking of these things to do by myself. Yesterday, I started meditation sitting with God. I was feeling a little overwhelmed as the timelines of the launch date are getting closer. God gave me a healing to my center of self-esteem and my heart space. And I ended up with 3 or 4 things to work on for Enlightened World. Then God said I should avoid the archangels because they would just give me more work to do. Then I heard God chuckle. I said, I don't think I have ever heard you laugh or thought of you having a sense of humor. Then he said, what about the animals? What about the ostrich that sticks its head in the sand, or flamingos that turn pink when they eat shrimp, or squirrels playing in the trees? What about the joy you feel from watching a dog chase its own tail? And I realized that I was wrong. Yep, God definitely does have a good sense of humor. So thank you for listening. Tonight's show is the last of our 5-week mini-series on the Wonders of Reiki. I'd like to tell you about our guest this evening, my friend and fellow lightworker, Monica Augustine. Monica's career passion is to support clients to gain clear insight, release inner blocks, and heal, so they can take positive action to experience the life they desire. She gains information by asking questions, actively listening, and using her empathic, clairaudience, and clairvoyant skills. She then uses Reiki to release and clear inner blocks and life coaching to support positive action steps. Monica has training as an intuitive reader and is certified as a Reiki master teacher and life coach. In addition, Monica founded and directed Wildflower School of Voice in Boulder, Colorado for 20 years before selling it at the end of 2014 to transition into her new work full-time. On the personal side, she's lived in Colorado for 26 years, has been married to her husband Kevin for 21 years. Together they have 2 boys, Greg and Will. Monica loves to be with her family, sing, exercise, and devote time to friends and her spiritual practice. Welcome, Monica. How are you?
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Absolutely. So let me just say to folks that Monica trained me in Holy Fire Reiki, and the attunement procedures that she took me through was absolutely life-changing. And I think we spent 4 half days together, maybe, Monica, I think.
Yeah.
It was about 4 half days.
I think we did maybe 3 half days, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the time together with you was incredibly profound. And this was 2 years ago, I'm thinking, something like that.
I think so.
And some of the things that were shown to me during the Reiki attunement with you 2 years ago is what I'm living now. And I had no idea at the time when I saw it with you what it was about, if it was a past life, if it was something that was going to happen. I had no idea. And it's fascinating to be living it now. So thank you so much for that time with you. You are an amazing reader and teacher, and I highly recommend your services to anybody who either wants a Reiki healing with Holy Fire Reiki or to be trained in the Reiki, Holy Fire Reiki program. So just thank you so much for your part in my journey.
You're so welcome, Ruth. It was so much fun working with you, and I still remember the experiences that you had and that you shared and the things we were seeing, and just getting to share Reiki with you was such a blessing. And just to be in the energy of Reiki, I feel really blessed, and just getting to pass that along. And seeing you do what you're doing now is very exciting, because, neither one of us knew what it meant exactly, right? And then
not a clue.
Now it's coming more into manifesting into the physical realm, and it's really exciting.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, Monica, tell us about your background. How did you begin your spiritual journey? Were you always aware of spirit and intuition?
Well, let me think back. So I feel, my history growing up, there was a lot of, as a young person, I definitely felt drawn to, I felt a strong connection to Jesus and wanting to understand Jesus' life more and understand Jesus and God. And I always had a longing to, be the best person I can be. I always wanted to grow that way and learn that way. I grew up in in a Catholic church, Catholic school. My family was Catholic. I'll skip some of it, but I did have a passion for understanding that at a young age. I also had a lot of abusive experiences. I grew up with a lot of abuse, mentally, physically, emotionally, sexually, as well, for a really long time. And so I felt a lot of times like I had two parts of me going. Like I felt like I was connected to my higher self at a young age, and I could hear, I heard things, I could see things. See things meaning, I felt like I talked a lot and to energy, the energy world, spirit, but I didn't really think much of it, But what I realized was I always felt like I was a little torn, because I didn't have a lot of, I would say, positive role models in the way of, I feel like with growing in that way, and respect and value and honor. And I do feel that growing up, my mom had a lot of wonderful traits, and I love her, and she's passed now. But I always felt like with the abuse, I felt like I was in my spirit, kind of the higher self I could hear, but I was also kind of tortured mentally and emotionally with the things that happened and how that manifested inside me and my psyche, you know what I mean? And so I kind of was torn a lot. I felt like I don't know how to follow this path, and I feel all these feelings. So I think all of that turmoil, honestly, brought me to want to really understand all this stuff and be free mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and help others do that, because I had struggled so much with mental emotional health, I would say, that I still feel really passionate about it, because I would love to. I do feel really free now, but it took me a long time to get here, and I feel like I made lots of mistakes, but I don't know that I believe in mistakes, because if you learn, then I don't know that it's a mistake, but I had learned a lot to get here, and I just want to pass it on. That's kind of how I feel got me really into it, Yeah.
Right. So So you weren't alone during the times of the abuse. You had spiritual support going through it.
I feel like I did, and a lot of times, I mean, I was a really young girl, and I know there's a lot of women and men that go through that when they're younger.
Right.
And I just remember feeling like when I do meditation on it and did a lot of healing work in my 20s and 30s, like, asking why that happened. And the words I always get is it's to teach. It's not right. It's not fair, and it's not okay to do to somebody. Like in the human realm, it's not okay. But in the spiritual realm, it's like I feel like I heard it teaches you compassion. It teaches you strength and humility. And those were some gifts that I feel I got from those experiences that, on some ways, Ruth, like in our human bodies, like as moms and just people, we'd be like, that's not okay. You can't treat kids like that. That's not okay. But as a spiritual seeker, and I had to look deeper. It forces you to look deeper and be like, what happened there? And I always felt like I had some kind of strength that I could survive it. But and I always felt like there was somebody with me, or but then I had almost like that other side of me that was the more human side, is like, oh my gosh, I'm having all these weird things, thoughts, feelings, I hate myself. So, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah,
it absolutely does.
Mm-hmm.
So, as in your teen years, were you incorporating spirituality into your life sort of like on a daily basis, or were there periods of your life that you just like took time off from the spiritual connection, or how did that work?
Yeah, well, let me see how I can answer that. Well, I always had, in my teen years, we did go to a Christian school, and it was like our 2 years of our high school, like my freshman and sophomore year. And to be honest with you, this school, I saw a lot of hypocrisy though, and I didn't have a lot of, I lost some faith, not in God or Jesus, but in the people there, and they were teaching, but there's a lot of things going on that were definitely not following the rules of love and treat your neighbor like yourself and honesty and integrity and all that. So no one's perfect, but it did kind of make me feel like I don't know what to trust. So, but going through my high school years, I did go to church sometimes. I prayed a lot. I talked to God all the time. I just feel like I have a constant dialogue, And since I didn't know what I felt, I didn't know what to believe or trust. Like the Bible, I had trouble reading it because it was hard for me to read. And I didn't trust the church, and I didn't trust the school. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to just do my best to be the best person I can be. I want to be kind and generous and loving and to people. And that's kind of where I went with it, because I didn't really know what else to trust. Do you know what I mean?
The world is so lucky that that's the path that you took, because other people, given all of the things that caused you to distrust, could have turned inward or turned self-abusive or, turned against humanity. I mean, there's a lot of other ways you could have gone besides turning to the the kindness and the compassion and those trademarks. So are you. You are kind and compassionate as an adult. So that must have just been who you were in the core of you, because it has stayed with you all these years.
Well, thanks, Ruth, for saying that. And I'd like to think that, I feel that way. I feel like that is a strong part of me. And then there were times when the abuse kind of settled in my psyche or something, and I would be like, like when I would lie or something, I'd be like, why am I doing that? I don't want to be doing that. So there were definitely struggles I had, but I always definitely felt this pull to be, I want to learn how to be what I would consider a good person. That was just kind of how I put it at that time in my life, to kind of give it a label so I could kind of follow something, you know. But thanks for saying that. And it was interesting. It was a really interesting journey. It was full of a lot of things, you know.
Yes, your life was full of more things than a number of other people's lives. I will give you that. Yes. So Monica, from that platform of creating you into this adult, how did you get into the Reiki and this second career after you sold the music school?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. I never thought I'd ever sell the school. I never thought of actually selling a business ever. But I love the children. All the kids I worked with was singing, and you know that because you were a part of the school a little bit and supported it. But I remember I was starting to hit a wall, and what I learned, Ruth, was it was a lot about boundaries. I had trouble saying no, and a lot of people that have had abuse, especially sexual abuse, have trouble with boundaries. I knew it was a problem, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't say no to these kids. Like when they say, can you go to my party? Can you go to my birthday? Can you go to my play outside? I was just like saying yes to everything, and I eventually, over 20 years, I hit a wall, and I just. What happened, Ruth, is I had these 3 dreams, and I've shared these with you, I think, before, but they were profound, and there were 3 dreams of medicine, women, and men, and one woke me up in just like, you have to change your life or you're going to die, and it was an older man. He had no teeth, but he was happy, and he had a cup of tea, and he wasn't like freaking me out. He was just like, smiling, said, hello, Miss Monica, very that caring of the physical realm or money or things like of the world, really free of that. But he said, you have to change what you're doing or you're going to die. Okay, I was like, whoa, that was intense. Okay, I felt it for the next day, like in my body. And then the next night, I had a beautiful African-American woman say, Monica, you're not listening. If you don't change your ways, you're going to die. And I was like, wow. Oh my gosh. And she was stronger. And then the next night it happened again, but it was like this beast. I didn't see the beast, but it was like I was on this retreat with the kids from Wildflower that I loved so much, as you knew that. And it was hard to disappoint them. But we were on a retreat in this dream, and this monster, or maybe like a King Kong or something, big moose, was coming through the trees in, like, say, Winter Park. And it was shaking. It said, you're not listening. We're coming for you. And you are not listening. And it shook all the children, but it didn't hurt them, but out of the house. And it said, you need to let go. You've got to move on. And that day, I called every single family, and I told them how much I love them, but I have to make this change. And I couldn't explain why, because I thought everyone would think I was a little crazy. So no one really knows what happened. I just said I have to let go. And thankfully I trained Brittany and another teacher that kind of kept it going. But that dream woke me up that I have to make a change. And then and long story short, I sold the business to a wonderful woman that we both know, and she took it over, and it's still going. And then I was just like, what am I going to do now? I'm still like 45, and I want to do other things. And my husband said, Monica, you're so intuitive. You should get some training with like psychic horizons. And I was like, all right. I kind of laughed at him, but I was like, I'll try that. And then he's my Reiki teacher. He's been doing it for over 20 years. It never dawned on me to do it. And so I did that training, the intuitive clairvoyant training, and then I also did, Kevin said, would you like to be trained with 3 other people? And we all were in, and we're still a group to this day. And I'm in love with the work. So it was kind of, I made that short, but that's how I got into it. But I've always been passionate about it, and I've always kind of had dreams that come true, not every day, but a lot of times. I just was like, this must happen to everybody. And then when I was a little girl, like a little...
It doesn't happen to everybody.
And I was like, this is interesting. And it was fun because, I felt connected to, which it made me not feel alone, which was really cool. So I'm like, wow, I'm connected to something that I can't see. And it was really awesome, and comforting. And then when I was really young, like 9, I remember during the abusive times, I would close my eyes and tune into the person that was abusing this. He's also passed, did a lot of that. And I would close my eyes and just tune into his energy. And I asked, what is this day going to hold? And every day, it was uncanny. I couldn't change it, but at least I knew it was coming. I could be prepared mentally for it. But I didn't know what I was doing, but I naturally did that in my bedroom. And it's like it was uncannily exactly what I saw and felt empathetically. It happened. And so then I learned that was a tool for me to at least know what was going to happen, but I couldn't change it. That's still, something that's interesting. I couldn't change it, but at least I knew it was coming. So then I realized I had some skill, but not until I took the clairvoyant program 4 years ago and realized, oh, wow, this is something unique. I didn't know, So that was an earful.
Wow. Now, I'm just trying to process it. Yeah. Wow. So your intuitive skills allowed you to know it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that's as far as it could take you.
Yeah, I was a little kid, and I asked for help, but it felt like I had to, it allowed me to empathetically tune into that person, what he was thinking and feeling. But part of me knew that, but I still don't understand it to this day, but that I had to go through that experience. And I don't know why. And maybe it was a past lifetime that I had to learn humility for, I don't know, or maybe it taught me, like I said, it put me on this journey, which maybe if I had a totally different experience, I wouldn't have the empathy or care for humanity that I have now. Mm-hmm. So I really don't know the answer. But I definitely learned how to tune into people for safety, Mm-hmm.
Well, right. And I literally just watched a movie in the theaters with my daughter, and this young woman, she was about 16, was being sexually assaulted by her uncle, and he came into the bedroom one day, and she took out a gun and shot him in the knee. It was like, gosh, Monica, I wish we could have gotten you, a weapon or something when you were a little girl and knew it was going to happen. But maybe that's a different movie. I don't know.
That's so interesting, and that you say that, because there was this time I remember saying, maybe he'll die soon, but I felt bad thinking that, but I was like, maybe he'll die soon and we'll all be kind of free of this, because it wasn't just me, it was my siblings too. But then I said, I had this deep sense that I never wanted to hurt anyone, even if they were hurting me. I remember as a young girl just thinking I could never hurt anybody like that on purpose. And I just said, I'm just going to, I remember as a 10-year-old saying, I'm just going to wait it out. But I don't know why I didn't. I did think of that. It did enter my mind, not like killing anybody, but like that, some people do that, that movie you saw, and I was like, no, I couldn't bear doing that to even him. I don't know. I think I have a deep sense of empathy. I just think it's deep, so deep that sometimes I have to remind myself still, to say to people, that's not okay. Even as a woman,
yes.
It's not okay to do that to me. You can't talk to me like that. So I don't know. It's still a mystery to me. Maybe when I pass on, I'll know what happened there, But
right. Well, I would love to know too. Yeah, because just thinking of that there are other listeners that are hearing this that have gone through similar experiences that you have.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
And I think, I think everybody just has to process it in their own way, because what's right for one person, the way that they process it may be very wrong for somebody else. It just seems like such a personalized, individual experience, I guess.
It's so true. I think it's so true, Ruth, because if I have, I have a child, right, too, and Will's still somewhat young, if anyone were hurting him like that, I would say, defend yourself.
Right.
I would say, to get away. Now, I wouldn't say kill anyone, but I would just say somehow get out of there. But I think, the other thing that comes to mind as we talk, Ruth, is there was a lot of mental kind of twisted abuse. And so mentally, I think I was afraid of losing my mom.
Right.
Because he kind of was if you do this, or, if you do this and you tell anyone, there was a lot of things he said with that. And when you're a young kid, you believe it. And then I thought, wow, I got to just put up with this, because I don't want to lose my mom. I don't want to lose my family. I'll be all alone. So I'd rather just stick this out. I don't know. There was some logic, and then there was also, I don't want to hurt anybody. It was interesting. Yeah, as we're talking about it, I haven't talked about it in a long time, but it is interesting. Why didn't, a couple of times I stood up to him and said, "You're not God." And he said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "You're not God. You can't keep doing this to people." But it pretty much took all the energy I had to muster that courage up, because, I got in trouble for that. So, but at the same time, it's so weird, Ruth, that I still could see good in him. And so I think that's where I got, tripped up, is I really do see, I feel like I see good in everybody. And so even if they, go ahead, I'm sorry,
I think that
so then it's hard.
You're looking spirit to spirit, right? Spirits,
Maybe,
I don't believe that spirits are evil. I think that spirits are neutral. Personally, that's the way I see it, is that they're neutral. And so what you were seeing in him was him as spirit, which gave you that sort of neutral piece, but then yet as a body, he's going against you. So I would think that would be very confusing.
It was very confusing, and so confusing, and just, seeing him, even thinking of him now, I had to let go of a lot of anger to heal and forgive, and I feel like I've forgiven him, but at the same time, I still saw how much he wanted to have a good life, but he just couldn't. He had so much trouble in him. And I don't know, I could see both, so it was really conflicting. It was very confusing, especially to a younger person, like a 9, 10, and 11-year-old girl. It's really confusing.
Right, well, absolutely.
So, but all of that, Ruth, led me to this, and I feel so thankful that I found this deep connection to God and love and Reiki, and I feel connected to Jesus. Even though I wouldn't call myself a Christian, I feel connected to Jesus a lot, and I feel really thankful for that.
Well, I think that's beautiful. Can we talk about, I don't know if this is secret or not, so I apologize if this is secret.
Okay.
But in Holy Fire Reiki, there are symbols that can be used to intensify the healing, intensify the energy that's coming through, and not referring to any of them by name, but as memory serves, there are some of those symbols that could be really helpful to somebody who is going through, whether it's post-traumatic stress because of abuse, or, low self-esteem, or anger, or grief, or, some of those things associated with those past memories. It just seems to me that there are some of those Reiki symbols that might be really helpful in helping heal.
Reiki is amazing. Yes, there are symbols in each level. Like you've gone through all the levels, so you know that Reiki 1 and 2, master level, and then Karuna Reiki has symbols that do address, and they channel in that energy for healing, negative habits or codependency, or like what you were saying. There's symbols, and they're very powerful. In my experience, I feel like Reiki has healed me more than anything I've ever done. That's why I feel so great, so much gratitude towards the energy, and so there are symbols, and I'm just such a believer in Reiki. And what's interesting, Ruth, is when we were in Japan, we just got back and we went there because Reiki was founded there. The energy of Reiki was founded there by Usui, who was called Master Usui, and he's who we I guess you would call it a lineage, but really Reiki's for everybody. It's not excludes anyone or any religion or anything. It includes everybody who's drawn to it. But what we learned this past class we just had with William, who is the founder of International Center for Reiki, and he's gotten all the facts, and he has dedicated his life to it, is that there was Reiki 2, but now there is Reiki 3, and it was channeled in while we were there.
Oh, cool.
And I noticed a huge a very strong heightened energy that is even another level of healing, and he's putting that out so people can upgrade to it online and not have not pay for it or anything, just upgrade to it. He hasn't come out with it yet because we were I think the first or second group that came through, and it was a really healing experience. It's supposed to really help you heal dormant negative emotions you might have stuffed, so you can be more of your authentic self. That's like the energy of it. And it was working on Kevin and I the entire time, and when we got home it was amazing. But the symbols, to get back to that, they're just very powerful. And some people don't need the symbols, or you don't have to use them. You can just call it in, the energy, once you're tuned to it. But I like to use them sometimes because I think it kind of helps me channel into that vibration, So
yes, To me, when I use them, it's with the intention of having it work on that particular issue, whether it's clearing negative energy or helping them be more grounded, or connection to the divinity or whatever. But when I purposely choose those symbols, I think it helps. I agree with you. I think it helps bring in my intention, and I think it helps sort of direct the energy sort of in that way. I have found the symbols to be really quite profound.
I agree. I mean, for me, in my experience, I do as well. And and I agree with you. I do. I do know that there are people that like to. A lot of people like to use them. A lot of people like to just use Holy Fire and let it work. But I like to also focus on that specific thing that client comes for that day. And if they're like relationship issues or a consistent block with a negative habit they have, like smoking or drinking or something like that, there's a symbol for each of those things. So I really like that a lot.
Yeah. So Monica, when somebody comes to you, do you do distance work as well?
Yeah, I do.
In-house, okay.
Yeah, I do. So now that we've been traveling a little bit more with the Reiki International Center, we now have some friends all over the world now in different countries, which is really cool. So I do like intuitive readings on the phone or Skype if they're not in the state. And I'll also just, I call in Reiki, I call in like Father, Son, Holy Spirit. That's what feels good to me. And Holy Fire Reiki and Archangel Michael and Gabrielle. Those, and I tune in to see what, in my Reiki guide, but I want to cover all the bases, but I say everything just to kind of feel like I covered it all. But I do call that in and ask it to lead the reading, lead the healing, say a prayer together in the highest good of the client. And yeah, then I'll do a reading on the phone, Skype, or at my house, and I do Reiki sessions at home. And if I send Reiki to somebody, like one person asked me to do a Reiki session for her in a different state, but she wanted me to be with her the entire time on the phone and just kind of read her while I did Reiki. So it's like I charge for that because I was with her the whole time. But if someone just says send me Reiki, I just send them Reiki. It's not like there's a charge for that or anything, but I send them Reiki. Just send it to me and think of me, and I'll do that. But yeah, I do more readings on the phone than like a Reiki session. Yeah.
Now, when I've done Reiki sessions with you, you combine your gifts, and you're doing Reiki, and you're also reading. Do you do that with a lot of folks, or was that just special for me?
That is such a good question, because in Japan, this William, some of the students were like, is Reiki a reading? And William's like, can someone write an article? Or no, he's like, I got to have someone write an article on, is Reiki a reading? Or is it just, what is it? So I wrote an article that hopefully will be in the next magazine, but just on that. So it was really good timing. So I actually do it pretty much with everybody, but I make sure they know. I ask them, do you want to do Reiki, or do you want to do Reiki in a reading? So they know I'm going to be tuning into them and giving them information that comes up. So basically, as long as they know what I'm doing, like if they want to just be real quiet and have the Reiki work, then I don't do a reading. But I guess the main thing is I ask them what they want so they know what they're getting, so it's clear. So then it's not confusing what Reiki is to people.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, really. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because honestly, I was just, saying, do you want Reiki or Reiki in a reading? And they're like, what does that mean? And then I would just explain it. So, yeah, so basically the Reiki does its thing no matter what. It's working, and it goes with the client and helps them. And then I just, I do that with a lot of people, but they have to ask for that, or I'll just do one or the other. Some people want just a reading. Some people just want Reiki, and then a lot of people actually want both. So, yeah. Well,
and you also include the angels in your work.
Oh, yeah. I call in. I definitely feel a connection to angels. Sometimes I see them when I'm doing Reiki. One of my clients, I was doing Reiki at the person's head, and I usually keep my eyes closed just to tune in. But in my inner vision, not out in the real world, but in my inner vision, I saw angel wings at their feet on both sides, and I felt their presence there and knew there was. I feel like angels are a part of Reiki. Like I feel like they're a part of
Monica.
Like Reiki.
Can I tell you what I've seen?
Please, yeah.
So I was in meditation, and this being showed up in front of me, and so I had to pay attention to it, and I didn't know what it was, and I was sensing like the high to low energy. I mean, I was like sensing like all of it, and I asked it to step aside, and it got behind the Archangel, and I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. And then I said, Archangel Michael, is it okay to work with this energy, with this being? And he said yes. And then it kind of came up forward. But what I got from that was that it was like subservient to the archangels. And so then it came up in front of me, and I'm sensing like this lower level energy. And I said, Archangel Michael, is this an archangel? And the answer was no. And I said, well, is this an angel? And the answer was yes. But I'm sensing this lower level energy. And I'm thinking, why would an angel have lower level energy? And then it dawned on me. I said to this angel, I said, do you remove low level energy from others? And the answer was yes. And I thought, this is interesting. And then I got in my mind's eye a vision of a time that I had done Reiki on a friend, and angels came in and provided healing during the Reiki session. I watched them. There was 4 of them. There was a woman and 3 male angels doing the Reiki session. And I heard the word Reiki. And I turned to this angel and I said, are you, do you have to do with Reiki? And it was yes. And I said, are you Reiki energy? And it was yes. And what I was shown was that divine healing light comes down through this angel of Reiki. And when practitioners ask in the Reiki energy, it comes actually through this angel. And that at times other angels show up to assist with the Reiki healing. It was fascinating what I saw.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's really amazing, Ruth, that you saw that and that you experienced that. And yeah, I totally see, I'm just kind of visualizing it right now, like what you're saying, and seeing that, how that happened, and it makes so much sense to me. And it makes me wonder what others, experiences are, practitioners, and we know like our Reiki group and what they experience. But I so think that the angelic realm has a very big part in it. If not a lot, more than that, But it's amazing. And so did you, like the lower level thing was, I've never seen that before, but it was so interesting because you're probably wondering why that, shouldn't this be higher, right? Like, shouldn't this be clear or higher? But then it's like, wow, they all have different jobs, right? Just different things to do. So that's pretty fascinating. I've never experienced that yet, that kind of thing, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really quite fascinating, and it made sense to me that if this angel removes his lower level energy, that I would be able to sense it on, around this angel. Not that the angel was of low level energy. It's like a man who picks up your trash cans. He's not trash, but he's been working around the trash all day.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great metaphor. That really is. That makes, or analogy, it just makes so much sense. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's
fascinating.
Kind of fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it's endless. Yeah.
Yeah, the learnings are definitely endless. And when they come out with that third level of the Reiki, I would love to know about that because I want to experience that myself.
Yes, I will send you the link. He's trying to get it together as quickly as he can, and I'll send you the link. You might get it because you're registered and everything, but it definitely was a noticeable difference. So, yeah.
And so were you on the actual mountain that Yusui was on? When
we
were experienced Reiki?
Yeah, that's kind of why we went. We wanted to study with William again, and we wanted to go to Japan, but Kevin really wanted to go. He has an affinity for Asian culture anyway, and but he's like, I want to sit where Yusui sat. And so we did go on the mountain, and we were there, and the energy was like amazing. Like it was like you could feel it coming through the bottoms of your feet. Like that's where it was almost put you in this like shaky, but it didn't shake us up, but it was palpable. And here's the thing though, Ruth, is there was a big typhoon before we got there, and actually after, but there was a big typhoon, and it actually took out the top of the mountain, so we couldn't go all the way up, which was the plan. So we didn't get all the way up. but we were on the mountain. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're just going to have to go back.
That's exciting. I love it.
We're going to have to just go back. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, with Enlightened World, we're looking at a conference in Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
And so that would be a perfect time to experience that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What year are you guys thinking? Do you know yet?
I don't know, either in 19 or 20, so I don't know.
Okay. Oh, got it. Okay, got it. That's exciting. Well, Mount Kurama, Kurama is the town we stayed in where Usui was, and it's like we went to the Kyoto first. That was a bigger city, and then we took a taxi to Kurama, which is like an hour and a half away. But the village, it's an amazing little village, surrounded by all kinds of great energy of the earth and spiritual. It's amazing. Yeah.
So is Reiki a large practice in Japan then? Is it pretty highly recognized? And
well, the interesting thing is it's not, because in World War II, when Usui was a lot or 19, let me think. Okay, in World War II, I think it was us that said nothing. There can be no studying of anything that isn't. I think it was American, actually. I don't know. I think I don't want to get that wrong. But the basis of this is they had to go underground with Reiki because it wasn't allowed. After World War II, there was something that happened. I have to read the history more, but they weren't allowed to practice it. So it's pretty interesting, though, when you go to all the shrines and temples in Kyoto even, and in Kurama. Even in Kurama, though, it wasn't obvious that there is Reiki at all. But there were signs. There were the Reiki signs everywhere.
Oh, wow.
But people didn't, I don't know that the Japanese people, I don't know that they, as a whole, recognized them as Reiki, but they recognized them as a kanji, a Japanese symbol. But we went into this temple, and it said the main master symbol, it was called the Shining Light Temple. And that's what this symbol, the master symbol, is. And it was written just like it was written, like you and I learned it.
Right.
And so it's interesting. It's everywhere. And even the shrine in Kurama, there was the mental emotional health symbol on like 3 of the shrines, and all the symbols that we study in Reiki, but it didn't say Reiki. Oh, sorry, Ruth. And then there was, for the most part, but then in Kurama, on this other little town, it said the home of Reiki. It was interesting that it's like it didn't jump out at you. No one really talked about it. It feels like it's still, like William said, it's still kind of underground a little, and the people in Japan still are maybe a little bit afraid of it a little bit, I think.
Well, you find that here too.
Yeah. It was really interesting. That's such a good question, though, but I feel like I wish I had better history memory of it. But there was in the books we study. There's like in World War II, we had to go underground with it, and that's how Miss Takata. Remember the woman that brought it to the States? She was the one that brought it here. If it wasn't for her, it wouldn't have gotten all this way to the States. It would have just stayed. But there's a lot of history there around that, like that question. That's a really good question. I hope I answered it a little bit.
No, that was great. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And so was it Phyllis Takata?
Wait, did you say Phyllis?
Or is that the granddaughter?
Oh, I only knew her. I only know her as Miss Takata. I don't know if it was Phyllis. I think that might be the granddaughter. I'm not sure though, Ruth, about that.
Okay.
I know she has a beautiful name, but honestly, I can't pronounce it.
No, then it's probably not Phyllis, because that one wasn't pronounced.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Lovely. So Monica, would you do me a minute, just share a minute on what your husband Kevin is doing? Because you guys have an amazing family. Between you and your husband, you do so much energy work. So could you just share for a minute what his journey is about?
Sure. Yeah, thanks. So Kevin's been down this path his whole life. He has a master's in philosophy from Villanova University. He's always been interested in this. He's a teacher of Tai Chi for over 30 years and meditation for over 30 years. He went to China to learn Qigong, Tui Na, healing art from a master there. He's done a lot of work in this area. He's been a Reiki master for over 20 years. And he's got a book out called Clear Quiet Mind. It's on how to meditate and how to clear and calm your mind so that you can live a better life, and it also helps with everything you do, really. But he has that out on Amazon, Clear Quiet Mind, and has a blog that's also called that. So his passion is meditation, teaching people meditation, and also passing along Reiki. We're going to be starting to teach more together now. We decided after Japan, and but he is an amazing person, just a person, and also just he's dedicated to this work and getting it out there and sharing it with people and helping them meditate. And he also leads a class in Boulder every Wednesday at noon, Qigong meditation, and I go to every week. But that's his passion is personal and spiritual growth and helping others.
Wow, it sounds like your house is one-stop shopping.
Well, it could be, right? Yeah, and he but he's been a great teacher for me. That's how I met him. He was my meditation teacher, and I was 24 I started meditating, and I'm 49 now. So he was my first teacher, and it was pretty funny. I couldn't sit still at all. It was crazy. Aww. I don't know how he even dealt with me, but I learned, and it really changed my life. I was like, oh my God.
Hey, so Monica, we are so out of time.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. Okay.
I need to let you go, but I have loved this conversation with you. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Ruth, for inviting me, and it was just wonderful to be on.
And so if folks want to look you up, then you could help them connect with Kevin. So they would look up Energia, which is ENERGIA transformyourlife.com. And I would just like to thank all of you for being with us tonight. It is truly an honor to be among the hosts of International Angels Network and Enlightened World Network. I look forward to walking with Spirit with you next week. So good night and God bless.